All right, welcome into Pod to Win the Game. I am Charles Robinson, senior NFL reporter for Yahoo Sports. He is Frank Schwab, senior NFL writer for Yahoo Sports. Frank, I think that it was not the best thing for the Green Bay Packers to go play in Buffalo. I think even the glass half full crowd, to me, if you watch this game and the Packers lose 27-17, I feel like the score is not really indicative of what happened in this game. Like Buffalo got sleepy in the second half of this game, made some mistakes of, I think, feeling like they were starting to pull away. Josh Allen is the quintessential, I got to score a touchdown every single drive. Mm-hmm. And it turns into mistakes, an interception, obviously, in the red zone at the goal line. This was worse than a 10-point loss, right, for Green Bay, even for the half full crowd, right?
Okay. I mean, there was never a moment in the 3 hours watching that game where I thought the Packers were going to win. Not one moment. Like, there wasn't even, I guess maybe when the Bills punted on the first drive, they're like, well, maybe they could be no, not really. The Bills, it was just, yeah, you're right. They sleptwalked through the second half. And that's where we are with the Bills at this point, Charles. The Bills could play their C- game in the second half, D+ game, whatever it was. There's still no danger of them losing this game. Aaron Rodgers is stuck on 74 yards a few minutes into the fourth quarter. This defense is awesome. Offense is awesome. I don't even like. I know that people are probably going to pile in the Packers at 3-5, 3.5 games behind the Vikings and all that. And to me, it's kind of like, whatever. Most teams are going to get blown out by the Bills. It's just the way it is. Yeah. You don't want to see Buffalo on your schedule. Now, it's not good for the Packers. I'm not trying to this was a... No. They look terrible. But I just think a lot of teams are going to look terrible against the Bills. And now the Packers can kind of say, all right, we got that L out of our system. Let's focus on teams we can actually beat now.
Well, so let me give you I have a little bit of a conspiracy theory, and I thought about it more as the week went on toward this. And we've been down the road before, where Aaron Rodgers likes to play these little word games, right? Like, he likes to make these little statements that there's more there. And he's like, oh, my future's a beautiful mystery, and this is what I'm writing, by the way. Oh, my future's a beautiful mystery, but really pay me or trade me, right? I mean, that's really what that was. Oh, yeah, I've been immunized. No, I didn't take the shot. It's like he's got a few of these, right? Okay, so kind of going back to, and when I talk about this idea that there's always like layers with Aaron when he's really trying to send some other message. Last week, the loss to the Commanders, he says, this week, nobody's going to give us a chance going to Buffalo on Sunday Night Football with a chance to get exposed. Shoot, this might be the best thing for us, right? So in the moment, I'm thinking, all right, he's being defiant. There's this hidden message in there about maybe, he really actually does believe in the team and they're going to show everything. But then as I thought about it, as the week went on, I thought, what if he's being literal? What if Aaron Rodgers is sitting there saying, I've told the coaches, okay, there's a problem with the personnel. Some of these guys aren't performing. I want the front office to know this team is not constructed to compete with a Super Bowl elite in the NFL. Maybe the best thing for us, since it feels like they're not listening to me, is to go play Buffalo and go ahead and let it play out on the field. And then afterward go, that's what a Super Bowl team looks like. And this is what we look like when we line up against a Super Bowl team. So either scheme it differently with the talent you have, or the trade deadline's on Tuesday, change the talent you have. One or the other. Do something here because we are far behind that Buffalo Bills team. Now, I assume as you and I sit here, Rodgers probably at the podium going, no, that was great. We're awesome. We're making big strides. And he's Mr. Glass half full again, because that's what he does, right? I mean, that's what we get, you glass half empty guy. And then as soon as you're like, okay, well, he was right. Then he's like, no, now it's glass half full guy. It's just back and forth. But I agree with you that this edition, not on the same plateau, not on the same level as the Buffalo Bills.
Oh, no, not even close.
So here's my question for you. Not to cut you, but here's my question for you. They're going to trade deadline. It doesn't feel like a team that's like one player away, or maybe not two players away. So if you're sitting there and you're going, if we add Brandon Cooks to these wide receivers, is that going to nudge us over the top? If we would have added Robert Quinn, would that have nudged us? I don't feel like it's a team that's all that close. So you're going to give up assets now and basically do what? You're throwing things into the well. It's not going to change anything. It's not a Super Bowl level team, but are you going to try and pretend and play that game that at 3-5, we're going to burn some assets for a team that's probably not going to be a Super Bowl team?
I mean, would I mortgage the future for Brandon Cooks? No. But, when you say, they don't seem like a team that's one player away, I'd push back on that a little bit. The unfortunate thing is the one player he's playing in Las Vegas right now. He wears number 17. Like, they were a totally different team when they had an alpha receiver. They just don't have anybody they can rely on in the passing game right now. Like, even at the end of the game, Mike and Chris are talking about they just need to get somebody kind of on the move, Tanyan or Aaron Jones, or and let him run down the middle. Like, you can't rely on running backs and tight ends to be your explosive passing game. Like, that's not going to work. I don't know if Brandon Cooks can be that difference maker, but I'd also say this is the NFC. It's not very good. I don't trust, we'll talk about the Vikings in a little bit. I don't really trust them. I don't think they're some dominant team you can't hunt down. You still have a game coming up at Lambeau against them. I think you have to try. I really do. I think that, look, the NFL, as the Rams have proven, it's all about the here and now. And 3-5 is not a death sentence. They're not done. No, they're not going to get the number one seed or anything like that. But if you go out, if you get Brandon Cooks is the name, right? He's probably the most available receiver you can go get. If you're not mortgaging the future for him, why not? What does it really hurt? You have a 38-year-old quarterback who's maybe the most talented we've ever seen. You don't have very long with him. Shove your chips in the middle of the table. This whole waiting game they're playing of, we just want to stay good. We want to stay good, but we're never going to take a shot at great. They've never gotten aggressive like the Rams have, and I think it's bitten them a little bit. I think it's cost them a chance to go to multiple Super Bowls, or at least one more. So I'd like to see them at least try, is what I'm saying.
Fair enough. It's just too late for me. Like, I think they have regressed.
I don't think sure, I really don't.
See, I disagree. I mean, you're talking about, well, okay, it's one guy away. Well, if it's going to be that guy out in Las Vegas, well, then it might as well be the guy in Buffalo playing quarterback, or the guy in Kansas City playing quarterback. Or no, I'm serious, because I'm
just say they could have had that guy. They had that guy in their offense.
Okay, but they don't now. That's all that matters, Frank. They don't now. And Devontae Adams is about as gettable right now as any of those quarterbacks or anyone else.
Right.
If they're an elite player away, if they're an elite player on that level away, then they're not close, period. Because they can't go get that elite level player, and they won't go get that elite level player. And they've never done that at all at the trade deadline. So to me, what we're setting up for is another ass kicking in the playoffs. They're going to run. Right now, I would not take.
But who would beat them that bad in the playoffs?
Listen, right now, I would not take. I would make. I mean, you take this team over Dallas? You can take this team over Philadelphia?
No, not the way they're constructed this moment.
Okay, the 49ers? You can take this team over the 49ers? The 49ers, at least knowing the talent on the field?
I can see them, if they had an alpha receiver, getting to the point where, they could beat the 4-4 49ers.
I wouldn't take this team over...
The Broncos beat the 49ers. They're not unbeatable.
I wouldn't take this team over Geno Smith in Seattle right now. Okay.
Oh my God! Are you saying that with if you added Brandon Cooks to it, because that's what we're talking about.
The way they're constructed.
Yeah, right now they're not very good. That's why I'm saying get aggressive in the trade line, make yourself better.
You really believe that? You think they're going to get Brandon Cooks? I mean,
I'm not saying they're not. I think they should. I think there's two different. I don't think they will. No, because they've never done that. They've never pushed their chips in the middle of the table. They're that dude at the poker table who just plays aces and kings, and you know it all night. He's just sitting there folding every single hand, just waiting for pocket aces, and then he's going to get aggressive. They never have made a move. They've never tried to maximize this window. And I think if you got an alpha receiver, and I think Brandon Cooks is very, very good, especially with a quarterback like Rodgers, all of a sudden, the 49ers are not unbeatable to them. The 49ers lost to the Falcons, okay? Like, they're not unbeatable. The Seahawks are not unbeatable.
Green Bay just lost to the Commanders.
Yes, I know, because they don't have they're severely lacking playmakers. They're not getting the most out of their main asset, which is still Aaron Rodgers, even at 38 years old. Because Romeo Doubs is completely up and down. Christian Watson is he's just that. There's just gonna be something all the season with him. They were the Toure. I don't even know who that is really. I was like,
we're playing the same.
They just had nobody to throw to.
This is the B side of the same record we've been playing forever. It's not, if it's not the coaching, then it's the front office. If it's not the front office, it's just never Aaron. So this player, that player, they don't have it's always the same old excuses. Then we get to the fourth quarter, Aaron Rodgers cracking 200 now all of a sudden becomes like, hey, already, the 200 mark. Are you serious? Like, what are we doing here? Like, we just
he is full of it when it comes to blaming everybody else. I'll give you that. But it is true that they are a piece away. This team with these receivers, you can't tell me that you have a back-to-back MVP who's lining up and looking at these guys like, okay, I guess I'm going to throw to Amari Rodgers this play, pray he doesn't fumble. Like, it's just not working for them. They need that piece. At least try. At least put, again, don't trade like multiple first-round picks or anything. Don't get crazy. But if you could get him at a realistic price, I don't see why you don't try. I've never seen why the Packers have never really, truly tried.
I am not against trying. I just don't think it's one guy. I'm sorry. I just don't see Brandon Cooks as me. Brandon Cooks will not help them stop the run game. Okay. Brandon Cooks will not help them rush the passer any better. I mean, it just defensively, they should be a better team than they are. They should
be much better defensively. And I'll give you that. This is a really disappointing defense.
Brandon Cooks isn't scheming the defense. Okay. Like, I mean, it's just Brandon Cooks doesn't resolve the offensive line issues, which, by the way, the offensive line was not good tonight. No. Now, I'm willing to say, yeah, you played a dominant front in Buffalo. Absolutely. What the hell you think what's going to happen in the playoffs? You think you're not going to run into dominant fronts in the playoffs? You're going to run into a lot of, even the mid, like, teams that right now people would say are kind of middling in the NFC playoffs. The fronts are pretty good. Have you watched how Seattle has been getting after it up front? Pretty good.
Well.
Have you watched? Sure. We've watched. I mean, the Giants, right? I mean, we sat there and be like, well, the Giants don't have this, they don't have that. But we've never said the Giants don't have a front that can't get pressure when they just rush four.
Sure.
They can. That's going to be a problem. So I don't know, man. I'm just it's just funny because we're back at the same place again. And I really actually do think the Packers are in a tough spot here because they have to be sitting there going, this feels further away than a 27 to 17 game.
Again,
and I don't know how we fix
it. It's October. You were Mr. Patience a few weeks ago.
Wait.
Now.
No, wait. Frank, we're 8 games in now. This is half a season, okay? Like, under normal circumstances, this is half a season.
I haven't given up on the Packers being a decent second half team. It's going to get colder. They're going to be able to run the ball, but I do think I think they're a playmaker away.
It's
I'm saying, like,
the meteorologist is going to be the guy who comes through.
Look, tonight doesn't mean anything to me. The Bills are just on a different level than everybody else, including the Chiefs, including the Eagles, whatever anybody wants to say. Whatever happened tonight. I don't think this Packers team is dead money right now. I don't think they're drawing dead. I think that they could still get back in this thing. They're going to start this whole, like, we're going to run the ball with Aaron Rodgers and A.J. Dillon is a lot easier when it's 15 degrees, but they need a piece to put them over the top in this offense. This offense stinks right now. The defense is bad. You just have to hope that improves. I'm not saying that they're a perfect team one piece away. Yes, you'd have to have progression with a Brandon Cooks or an alpha receiver, whoever you're going to add. I just don't think you're drawing dead yet. That's my only thing.
Okay, so let's move on real quick, though. The Buffalo Bills should call the Cleveland Browns about Kareem Hunt. Okay, straight up, because the Buffalo Bills,
everybody,
they are making calls about running backs. Okay, they've been checking in on running backs. They clearly are interested in adding a running back piece to the mix. I think Kareem Hunt would be a monumental fit in that offense right now. I think he's extremely motivated. I think he's got toughness to him. He's got versatility. I think the Kansas City Chiefs would be pissed, because I think that's a coaching staff that still wishes all these years, they wish they had Kareem Hunt all these years and haven't had him. If I was the Bills, I would laugh my ass off and go get the former Kansas City Chief great, plug him into that offense. I think he would be great. I'm telling you, if there's one trade at the trade deadline where I'm like, I would like to see this player land there, it's Kareem Hunt landing with the Buffalo Bills.
That's really, really interesting. Because this is their window. Go all in, win a Super Bowl. You have the team for it. Let's swing it to the next game. The San Francisco 49ers, man, this is the kind of game where you're like, the 49ers can really be a very, very good team. They won 31-14 over the Rams, who still have a ton of issues, by the way. This is not going away anytime soon for the Rams. But what impressed me most about this game, Charles, is there's no Deebo Samuel in this game. The 49ers are also missing a lot of defensive pieces, but offensively, they didn't have Deebo, but Christian McCaffrey all of a sudden is a full load, and you could see, oh my goodness, this offense could be really, really impressive when all their pieces are together. This was just a really, really eye-opening game for the 49ers. I thought they were really good today.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because some of my buddies who are really down on Shanahan. They hate him. They can't stand him. And they're like, well, just wait. He'll start screwing with the run. I'm like, he's never had this running back. Like, are you out of your mind? No. Like, if he's healthy, I'm not saying he's on the Marshall Faulk level, but you're in the same gully, okay? Like, you're in there with the Marshall Faulk. And
there's he's one of those rare air running backs that could really change your offense. Like,
throws the touchdown.
Completely change your team. Like, he's one of those few guys.
Yeah. Throws a touchdown, runs for a touchdown, catches a remarkably difficult touchdown. By the way, on an improvised route, when it didn't work, he's the one who worked himself into the end zone to get open for that touchdown catch. I think with Christian McCaffrey, it's just always, personally, I've always felt it's just health. Like, if he's, you can't knock his play or what he can add to any team, any scheme, if he's healthy. So as long as that guy stays healthy, and as you said, there was no Debo, and you know, defensively, there's still health issues there. If they can just claw back, you know, some of those guys, get them back on the field, this changes significantly. And I'm sorry, straight up, like, the way Kittle's playing right now, and if you can get Debo, and I hope they really handle it carefully with him, because you don't want this lingering. Like take the time to let him heal. If you can get him and Kittle and Debo and Kittle and CMC on the field at the same time, it's literally three guys that are absolute mismatch players, and it's about as close as I think you can get to when you had Kansas City rolling out Tyreek Hill, rolling out obviously Travis Kelce, and then whatever third piece option. But
I mean, this is I throw Ayuk in there too, because I think he's really, really talented. You got
some flames producing.
You got four dudes who it's like, what do you do? Who do you guard? Who do you put your attention on? Because somebody else is going to beat you. And you can just see this San Francisco offense being one of these. Okay, this is a McCaffrey week. He's gonna hit the triple crown and pass for one, rush for one, receive for one. Okay, this week we're gonna just get Debo 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. Next week it's gonna be Kittle. It's gonna be impossible offense to defend. We've seen their defense play at its highest level, and at their highest level, they're the best defense of football if they're healthy. That's the problem. They're a little banged up. And so we'll see if they can get it all together. Well, on the Rams side, look, I just don't think this is working for them. I don't know where their season's going, and I don't think it gets much better. I hate to say it because they're only 3-4. It's just different. Like, I talked about the Packers being 3-5, and I don't think they're drawing dead. But you just watch them, and you watch the Rams, and you're like, this is a 3-4 team that looks a lot worse than 3-4. They really, really struggle in a lot of different areas.
Well, and it's, Cooper Kupp obviously gets his ankle rolled up on.
Yeah.
He's waiting to see how it responds the next couple of days to treatment. But the fact that you got to now wait for the next couple of days to see how it responds means he may miss the next one, or this could be like a lingering thing. Like, you just don't know now. And right. I am scared if you take him off the field. I mean, Matt Stafford is so dominated on him. It was funny because I tweeted out the clip where he literally threw to Cooper Kupp and there were 4 guys.
Yeah, I saw it.
It was 1-on-4, and someone in the responses was like, "Isn't it mathematically mean someone's open?" I'm like, "Yeah, do the math. There's no way you can throw 4 guys at one guy and not have somebody else on the field open right now. That's impossible." Yeah. I'm with you. The Rams are very active. They've clearly already been making calls. They were in it with McCaffrey. I'll tell you what their mentality was when I went through there in camp. Everyone had the same mindset in terms of all the power brokers there. All the decision makers said the same thing. If Matt Stafford is on the field for us and Aaron Donald is on the field for us, the window's still open. Meaning season by season. Okay. So they're staring at this roster right now and they're going, Stafford's still on the field. Aaron Donald's still on the field. That means we still got an opportunity to potentially punch our ticket for the Super Bowl this year. I'm with you, though. I just kind of disagree. I watch how they're playing both defensively. I feel like they break down at inopportune times. They don't look remotely like the physical, fast, aggressive, intense defense they could be, especially, Von Miller was a far bigger loss than I thought.
Me too.
And then offensively, that line, I just don't see it getting any better. And what are you going to do? You're going to go burn another asset on a running back? You can go try to grab a running back when you don't really have the line to get it done?
And that's the problem. CMC is kind of in a different stratosphere, as we just talked about. But anybody else, like, you're just running behind a bad line. Like, you can't put a good running back behind a bad line and expect him to be a great running back. That's
Right.
not how it works. Great running back, maybe CMC could just make this work, but they have no running game at all, and they can't protect Stafford. It's just ugly for them. It's hard to watch them. I mean, literally no running game at all. Nothing.
Yeah.
They are getting. I don't think they had a run over 5 yards today. Maybe they got one late and I missed it. But at one point in the fourth quarter, they did not have a run longer than 5 yards today. It's just not happening for them. Again, it's the NFC. It's not that hard. If you can get on a roll, they're going to be aggressive. Maybe they're going to try to add a piece. But, we talked about this before. Even looking like an Odell Beckham. If I'm Odell Beckham and I'm a free agent, I'm like,
no way.
Why would I go to this team? Why?
No,
I can go to Buffalo if I want. I can go to KC if I want. I can go compete for a Super Bowl. This team ain't competing for a Super Bowl. So, I just don't think it's happening for the rest. Now, whatever. McVay's a great coach. Like you said, the high-end talent. Not just Donald and Stafford, but Kupp is amazing. Jalen Ramsey's amazing. They still have the superstars. It's just that line, the running game, and even the defense has just been kind of hot and cold. So, I'm just not seeing it for them this year.
Yeah. All right, let's swing it over to the Giants in Seattle. Seattle wins at home 27-13. I'll just give you my one flat take on this, and you can run through the rest of the game. What a moment I loved. And I've covered the league as long as he's been in it, and basically up until this year, I never ever thought Geno Smith would be capable of doing what he's doing now. He throws a ball that clearly would have been a touchdown to Tyler Lockett. We saw it. Karams off of Lockett's. He hit his face mask, but, it was a catchable ball. Lockett dropped it, clearly upset. Lockett goes to the sideline. And then they show Geno Smith with Lockett, like, up in his face. Like, basically, you could tell. He's, like, telling him, like, I'm sticking with you, man. Like, don't, like, he's standing with Lockett, coaching up Lockett. And I was like, it's great. Like, it's great. Like, I'm extremely happy to see what Geno Smith's doing this year. Yeah. I think that he absolutely should factor moving forward. They shouldn't, like, if this to me is now real, and I don't think that it should be them. Okay, now what do we do at court? No, I think you have a quarterback, and now you kind of have at least a little bit of time here. I don't know how long, but I think it's beyond just this season to try to figure out exactly what you want to do at the quarterback position, beyond Geno someday. But then obviously he comes out and he throws that deep touchdown pass to Lockett. And to me, I'm like, Geno Smith is my favorite kind of NFL story, because it's just the guy where you're like, oh, he doesn't love football. He's changing all these agents when he's in the draft, and he slips out of the first round, and bad body language, gets punched in the face by a teammate with the Jets, like vilified with the Giants, like all these different things. And he kind of, Andy Dufresne's it, and he comes out of the right. Nice. Crawling through 3 miles, and now he's out. And it's that moment, standing in the rain, holding his hands up, because he's done it. He deserves this. And I'm really happy for him, and I'm really happy to see a jacked up moment show you that Geno Smith isn't just out there. He's coaching these guys. He's playing. He's everything that you thought he would be. Coming in the league, you hoped.
Charles, the confidence is just, you could tell. Each week he's just getting more confident, taking control of that team. The moment with Lockett is a perfect example. He may not be that guy week one. Like, everybody's kind of looking sideways at Geno, like he's just Geno Smith. But now I think those guys truly believe in him. If you watch the Seattle Seahawks, look, we all made fun of them in the offseason. Oh, they're going to be terrible. They're awful. What were they doing? Russ, blah, blah, blah. I was totally wrong. You watch this team. Some teams that have winning records, and the team they beat, the Giants, probably one of them. Well, you look and this team is not as good as its record. Caught some breaks. Great for them. You watch the Seattle Seahawks, you're like, no, this team is legitimately good. This is a legitimate playoff team. How they're doing it, I don't know. They nailed the draft. Great for them. The Geno thing is so out of left field. Like, what other stories in the NFL really compare to this? Of a guy who, not a Kurt Warner type that didn't get a chance, and then when he got a chance, he was really good. But I'm talking about a guy who failed in multiple spots. And Geno is so far off the radar, and then he comes around. He's a top 10 quarterback right now. Yeah. You can't name 10 quarterbacks playing better than him right now. It's crazy. It's Rich Gannon, basically. He's the one guy who Gannon. He's the one shot of, like, nobody ever thought Rich Gannon. Maybe Plunkett is another one. I mean, going way, way back. But there's not many guys who fail with multiple teams really didn't have any glimmers. It's not like Geno played great for 8 weeks and made a Pro Bowl early in his career. It was really, he had maybe a game here or there, but nothing like this. And then all of a sudden, Geno would be a Pro Bowler today. Like he would be one of the NFC Pro Bowl quarterbacks. I don't know off the top of my head the other ones, but great story. It's just great. It's fun. I feel good about them. It's Pete Carroll's vindication through all these years that, hey, yeah, I am a pretty darn good coach who was winning those double-digit games. We were all wrong about the Seahawks. Everybody. I don't know anybody who was standing on a table saying, yeah, the Seahawks can compete for the NFC West. You got laughed out of the room if you said that.
Subtitle stories here. I think one of the things you learn about the Giants is, they're not a team. You can't have. They had some bad turnovers in this game, and it really affected the momentum. And I think it really ultimately, you go and just look at really 2 bad turnovers. Special teams can't hurt you. I mean, when you turn it over and then special teams is killing you, that's not a team built to handle that. They got to play pretty perfect. Okay, so but I'm not gonna ding on the Giants. I'm not gonna kill them or anything over this game. And I think another subtitle is like straight up, man. Like, and I should know this because I'm an MSU alum. And Kenneth Walker made Mel Tucker a ton of money. Made him a ton of money.
The booster should be calling up Kenneth Walker. Like, can you help us buy this guy out?
Yeah,
you got him all this money.
Yeah. Well, now I'm kind of like, he is one of the best running backs in the NFL right now. Right now. Like, probably a top 2, 3, 4 running back right now. I didn't think when I watched him at Michigan State, he would break a lot of tackles and then he would show break. But I was kind of like, man, players in the NFL are going to be a little faster. They're going to be a little more physical. He is compact, and he does have sort of a slippery way that he runs, while also being able to handle punishment and dish it out. But I was like, I don't know how that translate on the NFL level if he can do these same things. He's doing exactly what I watched at Michigan State, the same stuff, just pounding it and breaking tackles. And God dang. And I if Breece Hall wasn't hurt, I'm like sitting there and I'm like, man, should teams start to reevaluate just dominant? Because Breece Hall was dominant, obviously, dominant player in college. Should teams start to reevaluate this idea of like really not getting near running backs in the first round, or at least like late in the first round, when a guy like a Breece Hall or Kenneth Walker comes out? Because these guys they look like two special guys.
Yeah, I think the pendulum has swung too far on the whole like running backs don't matter. Running backs do matter. You don't pay him a second contract. That's the thing you don't do.
Right.
You don't waste a top 5 pick on a guy either. Like, although the Giants could be sitting there saying, hey, Saquon Barkley's the reason we're 6-2. I don't have an argument against that. But yeah, late in the first round, if you can get a special, we saw it with Indianapolis last year, Jonathan Taylor. I mean, if Carson Wentz didn't Carson Wentz, they make the playoffs basically because the running back was dominant. We see that Kenneth Walker, and CMC is going to make that kind of impact. Or Derrick Henry. We're going to talk about Tennessee soon. If you have a dominant running back, it changes your team. It changes your offense. It's just what you invest in him. And man, don't give him that second contract, because except for Henry, it really doesn't work out. Let's swing ahead to the next game, because this one I saw it coming a mile away. I don't have many calls like this, but when everybody's writing, including our teammate Dan Wetzel's writing early in the week about, oh my God, the Patriots are dead. They screwed everything up. Yeah, Belichick is dumb. He's lost it. You knew what was going to happen, and that was the New England Patriots beating the Jets 22-17. It was just a Belichick special here, where they screwed up Monday and they got drilled, but he wasn't letting Zach Wilson beat him. Let's put it that way. It was a pretty good win for the Patriots.
Belichick is to the Jets what Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers are to McVay and the Rams. Like, it's just, no matter what's going on. It was the same thing. I'm sitting there and I'm like, are the Rams going to beat the Niners? Probably not. Because they can't. It just, they look different when they end up playing against Kyle and the 49ers. Well, the Jets, it's the same with Bill. And it is truly going to be a type of sort of, it's like an exorcism. Like, once it's finally over and they can consistently beat Bill Belichick, it will be like a watershed moment for that franchise. I truly feel bad for the fans, because I can't imagine just this one team
For
driving
20
me out of my
years.
mind.
For
Yeah,
20 years.
it's
Like McVay
insanity.
has been like 5. Like this
Yeah,
is
right.
2 decades,
Yeah.
man. And a guy who resigned as HC of the NYJ. It's a crazy story. Now, I think though the Patriots, good win, solid win, whatever. They're going to do what they do. I think the main question coming out of this game is Zach Wilson, because he threw some terrible interceptions again. He put up, look, at the end of the day, if you're doing box score scouting, you're like, 300-some yards for Zach Wilson. Good. He looked terrible most of this game.
Killer.
Killer in this game. And you're just, how soon is too soon to be like, is this it? Like, did they got the right guy? Did they need to start fishing for somebody else? Like, it's not that it's going to be easy. They're 5-3, and they're going to be a pretty good team. I don't know where we're at on Zach Wilson and how much patience we can give this kid.
The bottom line is it's you got to have offensive linemen that can pass block. Bad offensive lines can run block, but not pass block. I think that is a little bit of a situation that you have with the Jets. I think the quarterback is sort of a microcosm of really the rest of the Jets. We waited for, we're like, Robert Saleh, well, how do we feel about this guy? And the answer was, well, let's let some of those defensive players that they've drafted start to mature a little bit and come into their own, and then we can decide what we think of Robert Saleh. Okay, well, I would say the skill position pieces are there for Zach Wilson, but the offensive line is fundamentally important. Let's see where the offensive line comes along. That's clearly got to be what they attack this offseason aggressively, and then let's see how does that transpire next season for him. So I don't think you're out. It's funny to me because I literally, you hear these conversations like, is it time for the Patriots to trade Mac Jones? Is it, should we start talking about, should we start talking about Zach Wilson, Justin Fields? I'm like, man, there used to be a time where you would invest these kind of draft picks in quarterbacks, and they legitimately, I mean, if not at least 3, right? Before they start looking for another person.
It's the microwave, but
oh my God.
I will say that, I mean, the people who say you need to see something in year 2, you kind of know in year 2 whether you got to do it or not. I kind of subscribe to that a little bit.
Right.
And there's been so little from Zach. It's not just even the Trevor Lawrence roller coaster. You're like, well, okay, there was this game and that game. It really hasn't. It's been nothing from Zach. I mean, it's really scary to think okay, this guy's going to be our Pro Bowl quarterback in 5 years when we have seen nothing out of him, really. I guess maybe the Buccaneers game last year is his highlight still. I just don't know. I'm not on board. I just don't know. If I'm the Jets, I'm scared. Let's put it that way. I'm like, oh my goodness, we're married to this guy. Look, I mean, the Giants are still trying to make it work with Daniel Jones. The second pick of the draft is going to get at least 4 years, and you have to be sitting there saying, are we just wasting all this time because we don't got the right dude? I think it's a fear. Let's just say that.
That's why I'm not worried about it, because he's going to have at least 4 years, and we're not even remotely close to that yet. So, all right, let's move on to the next one. This one, Atlanta Falcons beat the Carolina Panthers 37-34.
What a game, man! This was your sneaky I did not expect this to be the game of the week.
Yeah, I mean, it was going back and forth.
It was awesome.
It was a lot of fun to watch this game. Deontay Foreman has been, I mean, just it's go. Guess what, man? McCaffrey's not here anymore. He's running hard as hell. Fun to watch, downhill kind of guy. Mm-hmm. PJ Walker. But obviously, everyone's going to talk about in this game is it goes to overtime, but probably shouldn't have gone to overtime. PJ Walker, 62-yard Hail Mary, which he threw more like 65 yards.
Yeah, it was 67, I think. It was the longest completed pass since 2016 or something like that. I thought he threw 50 when I watched a replay again. I was like, oh my God. When he unleashed this thing.
Frank, when he went to throw it, I was like, he can't throw that far. What are they doing? I'm like, what are they doing? He's going to, this ball's going to come down at the 20. No, at all.
No,
he cranked it. Yeah, rocket. And now that, he hits DJ Moore in stride.
He put it right in the basket. Unbelievable.
It was the most perfect Hail Mary.
It was one of those Aaron Rodgers Hail Marys.
Yeah.
When he threw the
Aaron Rodgers is a little element of luck where you're throwing it up, but this looked more like just a deep moonshot into the bread basket.
Great play.
And then DJ Moore takes his helmet off
And I feel
loses
sick
his
for the guy. I
going like
do.
from an
I get you.
emotional standpoint.
I get it. You can't do that. You know the rules,
It's a
but
tough
in
spot.
the
I get it.
moment, you're like, you've just made one of the plays of the season,
Yeah.
and the
And you've
emotion
been,
gets to you, and you want to be emotional, but
and let's be real. Let's not only that. I mean, we're looking at it from the micro, but from the macro, all the stuff that's been going on with the Panthers, all the things you've
yeah,
been through. He's
yeah.
been frustrated forever in the offense. Now the offense seems to be kind of getting some rhythm. It's playing harder. It's opened up a little bit. They're taking chances downfield, which they weren't before. That's the big thing that's really interesting to me is they're just kind of playing loose and throwing it and going downfield a little bit. Which clearly wasn't happening under Matt Rule, right? So there's a little bit of a change here in mentality. But yeah, I get it, man. The funny thing is like then after, you have a situation where kicker Eddie Pinheiro misses the extra point. Then he misses really was a gimme field goal in overtime. I was kind of like, well, maybe he wouldn't even hit the first extra point.
Right,
like maybe we're just like assuming he was going to hit the first extra point. He might not have hit that. So, what a
crazy
completely wild game.
And at the end of the day, like for everything that happened, kind of the takeaway going forward is the Atlanta Falcons are 4-4 in first place. And I don't know if this could continue. I can't lie to you, but heck, who cares? You're 4-4 and you're in first place when everybody in the world, like Seahawks, everybody in the world expected you to be terrible this year, including me, including you. And here you are, Arthur Smith. I do joke sometimes about his absolute distaste for the passing game, but hey, here they are. I thought Mariota played a really good game. He had him and Demir Bird hooked up on the clutch touchdown, which looked like it was going to be a headline of that game until DJ Moore. I mean, they're just finding ways to win. Hats off to them. They caught a couple breaks. Eddie Pinheiro missing kicks, but whatever. You're 4-4. You got to be feeling pretty good when everybody was piling on, thinking you were going to be some 2-15 type team.
I am not mad at Arthur Smith. They're competing for him, and this could be a far worse team than it is. And I just tip my cap to him. And it's funny too because I will say this about Vrabel. Vrabel built like a nice little staff. Like it was, he's sitting there, Matt LaFleur, Arthur Smith, like he had some good, good coaches in the fold there for a bit who have obviously left.
Matt Vrabel's already got a better coaching tree than Bill Belichick does, right? He does. Like, I can say it. We're going to talk about one of Belichick's former assistants soon. I can't wait for that. All right, so let's swing it to Dallas Cowboys 49, Chicago Bears 29. And Charles, I'm just going to start with this. Anybody out, like I see on Twitter every once in a while, or wherever on TV, who's the fourth best team in the NFL? There's no question who the fourth best team. It is the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys, if you have been paying attention to this team, unless you're still holding on to week one and what happened against Tampa Bay Buccaneers, this is the fourth best team in football, clearly. Now, they're not top three. Top three is in a tier by itself. But I think a performance like this shows why the Cowboys are what they are. Now, the Chicago Bears aren't the best team in the world, but they just beat the New England Patriots on the road on Monday night. They come out, get smoked by 20. Tony Pollard's awesome. Dak looks...
Shocker.
Right? Like, Dak looks like he's back. Micah Parsons scores a touchdown when Justin Fields high hurdles him instead of touching him, but whatever. But the funny thing is, because Jerry always, makes a punchline out of this. Even Jerry after the game is like, no, Zeke, once he comes back, we go as Zeke goes. Like, come on, Jerry. Did you see this guy? He just rushed for a $131 and 3 touchdowns. What are you talking about?
Zeke is clearly a material witness of some sort. He clearly, I don't know what he was around for that Jerry did, but he has gotten paid, and they just keep every time
give up that ghost, man.
All the evidence to the contrary, and this dude, I don't know. I watch Pollard. I'm like, this does not seem like a surprise. This is just this guy is clearly a very dynamic player. Every single time he gets opportunities, there's juice. I have no clue what exactly they think they're accomplishing here by leaning back into Zeke. And you know what? I will say this too. Zeke, I think, he's been decent this year. He's had, I feel like he's run hard. He's looked pretty good. He's still, but the thing is, Tony Pollard he has an explosive element to him, just a lightning shot that it feels like isn't there with Zeke. Zeke's better at, the physical end of it. He's a great pass blocker. I mean, there's all these things, but yeah, this Dallas Cowboys
good
team,
goal
especially
line
defensively.
back.
Yeah, the goal line back.
And I mean, I'm not saying Pollard should be some 90% snap guy because I don't know that he could take that. I don't know that he'd be still standing in January when they really need him. Zeke needs to be part of this thing, obviously, but their insistence on this it's weird almost. It's like, why? Like you said, material witness. But you're with me, right? The Cowboys are the fourth best team in the NFL. Like, is there any question about this? I guess we'll see Cincinnati tomorrow night and see what they got. I don't know who else it would be. I don't know who else the fourth best team would be. The Cowboys are really, really good, man. This is a good football team.
I mean, I think there's a really solid argument for it. I mean, it just doesn't. Their defense is just so dominating. They have so. I mean, the thing about their defense is they give up a little. They'll give up some stuff now and then, but they just over the expanse of a game. They're going to hit your quarterback.
Yep.
They're going to force turnovers.
Yeah.
They're just
big play,
fast.
Big play defense.
They are big play. That's exactly it. They're a big play defense. I think, let's see what Cincinnati looks like. The Jamar Chase hip thing. I don't know.
Yeah, that knocks them back. I just don't know who else would be number 4. The people are arguing about teams. I'm like, come on, man. Just give the Cowboys their due. They're really, really good.
Yeah, I would agree with that. All right, let's move on to the next one. Minnesota. It's
I don't know what to make of this team.
Minnesota's 6-1. We never talk about them in like the first 5 games. We never. Every time we keep getting to Minnesota, I'm like, they just keep winning. We don't move them up. Like they never get up higher in the roll call. But they beat Arizona 34-26. The Cardinals. It was at the beginning of this game. I thought, man, there's a chance that the Vikings end up blowing these guys out. Kyler throws a couple interceptions. That wasn't great. DeAndre Hopkins, though, to me, I think we've already seen clearly guy matters enough in that offense that the offense looks far better. It can move when he's on the field. But look, I'll say this for Minnesota. They're 6-1, and I still, to this point, I don't think Kevin O'Connell has gotten the best out of what he can get out of Cousins. Like I don't look at the offense and go, it's at the peak of where this guy supposedly was going to be able to get it, which I think is good. Like if you're 6-1 and you're still stuff on the table.
Yeah, that's a good point.
To me, that's the one thing to me where I'm like, maybe we're selling Minnesota a little bit short because especially offensively, it feels like there's still some more here to be had. And whereas, you and I are talking about other teams, the Jets, the Giants, where it's sort of like, okay, well, we get the record, but they kind of have to play perfect to keep winning these games. I think Minnesota always has to play perfect. As a matter of fact, I don't think they've even played their best game to this point. But
maybe week 1, but that seems like a million years ago. Yeah.
That was so long ago.
That was a one time this year where you're like, whoa, the Vikings. Since then, they've just kind of been every week. You're like, even this game, like when I saw it coming up, I'm like, I don't know what to say about this game. The Vikings were fine. Like. They're okay. Like they're 6-1. Good for them. But they leave you feeling so like, I guess good job. Pat on the back. Like I don't see this yet. And it could change because again, new coach, still getting used to everything. And I think they do have that extra gear we haven't seen yet. They could be a team by late December, January. We're like, whoa, look out for the Vikings in the playoffs because they're gonna be hosting a game probably. They're not that far off. But right now it's like, you're 6-1, but you still got a long way to go.
I wish sneakily this would be a team to do something at the deadline that we didn't expect. Like, oh, hey, they added Brandon Cook. Like if all of a sudden this is the Cook's destination, or they add,
or if they would have been the team to get Robert Quinn, and not that Chicago was doing in the division, but like something like that, some big splash move where you're like, whoa, okay, or like that changes the math.
Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi, Adolfo Mensah, they go and convince Odell Beckham, like, hey, Minnesota probably not your cup of tea, but you can come here and you can immediately become the number 2 target, and the number 1 guy is going to take a lot of attention away from you. Right. You can rack up some numbers as long as you go crazy.
That before for
Kirk.
Odell, right.
yeah, right.
Oh God, Odell with Kirk. You thought him and Baker were bad.
All right, well, check out Frank on Twitter at Yahoo Schwab. You can get me at Charles Robinson. You can get our ace producer at Brett Rader. Make sure you check out the mothership at Yahoo Sports. And if you could, as always, help us keep Terez Paylor's legacy alive. Visit breakingtea.com/Terez for the All Juice tee or hoodie. By the way, Greg Dulcich, as soon as he had the game today, I was like, I know, and this is kind of a funny backstory. I was like, I know he's on the All Juice team because the Broncos were the first team to drop him to me. Like they loved him. They were the huge Greg Dulcich guys. And then I, like as we tallied things and went further, I'm like, oh yeah, like let's make sure we get the All Juice team back out there that Eric at home and I worked on. But again, all proceeds from the All Juice team hoodie or sweatshirt go to support the Terez A. Paylor Scholarship at Howard University. You can also support that and the scholarship in Terez's name at Power Mizzou directly if you check out the podcast description. So please do that. If you could, please leave a 5-star review and tell a friend. Help us grow the family. We appreciate that as well. I've seen some new reviews, and I am very thankful for that. So thank you for everyone who's listening along and spreading the word. We will be back Wednesday with a new episode. We'll talk to you then. Peace.